Everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Samsung Galaxy S25 and compare it against the Samsung Galaxy A16 and see which particular phone is a better one for you. Now, clearly in almost every single way, the Galaxy A16 is probably not as good of a phone, compared to the Galaxy S25, but there's some really big things to keep in mind here. The A16 doesn't cost as much as the S25. There's a lot of differences kind of going on here too. So let's go and see how both these phones kind of compare. Now, if you want to pick up either one of these phones or some other ones, I'd recommend buying this year. Links will be down in the description below. You can go and get them from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these phones, the Samsung Galaxy A16, which came out back in 2024, just a couple of months ago, is giving you a 6.7-inch Super AMOLED display on the front. Now, this is a pretty basic type of panel, if you can kind of imagine it. It's really not going to be this massively nice panel. It's going to be pretty basic. It's 1080p, which is nice, but there's a few things here. One, it's an Infinity U display, so it's giving you basically a hole punch, but not really. It's kind of like a little bezel at the bottom or the top. So it's not terrible, but that is kind of one thing that might be annoying for some people, especially when compared to some of the other competition. You're getting a 90 Hz panel, which is good, but again, compared to a lot of phones nowadays, it's not going to be as nice. It's not really that bright of a panel. It's a pretty dated panel when it comes down to it. But again, you have to remember, it is a pretty cheap type of phone when it comes down to it. On the Samsung Galaxy S25, on the other hand, this phone is the top of the top. This is basically the best type of phone, best type of panel you can get your hands on. This type of phone, you're getting a smaller 6.2-inch dynamic LTPO AMOLED display. This thing is 1080p, and it is an excellent panel. 120 Hz and 2600 nits of brightness. If you're going to go through and pick up a phone, that is a really, really good phone to buy. That is without a doubt one of the better types of panels. It is probably one of the best panels you can get in a phone this size this particular year. So this type of phone, without a doubt, looks great. You're getting thin bezels, it's a hole punch display, and I definitely do think if you are going to go through and buy a phone, that is without a doubt one of the better types of phones you can buy, in my personal opinion. So that right there, I think, is another really, really nice thing going on for this type of phone. Now on the bottom, you're getting USB Type-C ports on the bottom of both of them, which is nice. You're getting your standard plastic back and plastic frame on the Galaxy A16, where the Samsung Galaxy S25 is built very well. That phone is built like a champ. That thing is giving you a frosted glass back with a triple camera setup. So that right there is an amazing thing to kind of think about there with this type of phone. That's a really, really good feeling phone. The Galaxy A16, I guess for the price you're going to pay for it, it feels okay. But like I said, there's really not that much competition here. The Samsung Galaxy A16 just doesn't really feel as good as the S25. Now, there are also some big things to keep in mind with the Galaxy A16 that you have to kind of keep in mind with here. With the A16, this phone is also lacking things like wireless charging. There's no wireless charging here, no reverse wire charging, no reverse wireless charging even. You're not getting any, 120 Hz display, but you're still getting 90 Hz, no glass back. So there's still a lot of things on the Samsung Galaxy S16 that you're kind of lacking with that the Galaxy S25 has. But keep in mind that the Galaxy S25 is $799 right now. The Samsung Galaxy S16 is $148. So that right there is a massive difference. You are going to be saving so much more money if you go through and buy something like a Samsung Galaxy A16. However, you don't have to just choose between these two phones. And there are a lot of phones in between these two that I would also recommend that don't cost as much as the Galaxy S25 that are way better than the A16. And we'll get into that in a second. In terms of the cameras, both these phones are kind of giving you triple camera setups on the backside. So with the Samsung Galaxy A16, this phone is basically giving you a 50 megapixel wide angle lens, a 5 megapixel ultra wide camera, and then a 2 megapixel macro lens. Where the Samsung Galaxy S25 is giving you a 50 megapixel wide angle lens, 10 megapixel telephoto lens, and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera. So this right there is one of those kind of important things to keep in mind here as well. So if you are going to go through and use either one of these phones, you have to remember that both of these cameras, for the most part, they're pretty much not, the Galaxy A16, it's not even a fair comparison here. The A16 is giving you 1080p videos at 30 frames per second on the front and the back. That is a pretty outdated type of camera layout to kind of look at for the top maxed out, resolution that you can film inside of these phones. If I'm going to go through and pick up a phone, if I'm getting a phone like a Galaxy 16, I'm definitely going to feel like I have a very outdated type of device when it comes down to it. So that might not be the best thing to hear in this particular situation, but I'm definitely going to tell you, you are, without a doubt going to feel like you're having somewhat of an outdated type of device when it comes down to it from that side. So I would hate for you to go through and already buy a phone if you already feel like it's going to be outdated from that standpoint. And that is kind of what's going to end up happening here if you're going to go through and like pick up a device. So kind of keep that in mind. Again, it's not necessarily like the biggest deal in the world, but that could be one thing you might end up seeing and one thing you might end up running into here with this particular phone. So again, when it comes down to the camera layout, the Samsung Galaxy S25 is significantly better in almost every single way that I can imagine. Now, on top of that, when it comes down to software longevity, the Galaxy A16 is actually going to be pretty decent here. That phone is said to have several years of software updates ahead of it, potentially 6 years of software updates. That's actually a pretty large amount of software updates to have inside of your device. So I do think that in and of itself, I think is a really, really cool thing. So if you are going to go through and if you're wanting a phone that's going to last for quite a bit of time, the Samsung Galaxy A16 is actually going to be here for several more years, including the Samsung Galaxy S25. Now the S25 does have the higher likelihood of lasting for a longer period of time. So once again, if you do want the phone that's going to be lasting for longer periods of time, then definitely something like the Samsung Galaxy S25 is going to be giving you 7 years of software updates starting now. So that right there is going to be another very big thing to keep in mind there. Funny enough though, when it comes down to the batteries, the Samsung Galaxy S25 is actually kind of giving you a pretty large amount of, it's giving you a large battery. In the Galaxy S25, it's giving you a 4,000 mAh battery. The A16 is giving you a 5,000 mAh battery. So 1,000 mAh more on the Samsung Galaxy A16. So you might have an edge a little bit on the battery size department on the Samsung Galaxy A16. Finally, when it comes down to the performance, the Samsung Galaxy A16 is giving you that MediaTek Helio G99 chipset with 4, 6, or 8 gigs of RAM, where the Samsung Galaxy S25 is giving you that Snapdragon 8 Elite chipset inside with basically 12 gigabytes of RAM. Now, depending on which model of the Galaxy A16 you buy, the performance, the RAM, everything, it could be pretty decent, it could be okay, but if you're trying to compare this thing against the Galaxy S25, it's really not going to be much competition here. The Galaxy S25 is going to be an amazing performing phone. That phone is easily one of the best types of performing devices you can basically get your hands on. And that is, when I look at a phone, what a phone should be. Like, that is a very good performing device. And I am a massive fan of the Samsung Galaxy S25. The A16 is still okay, but definitely the Galaxy S25 is a better one here for sure. So to kind of sum it up, what I can definitely tell you is that in my personal opinion, the Samsung Galaxy A25, A16, it's a good phone, right? But I think it's only a good phone because of its price. It's a very cheap phone you can just get your hands on anywhere. Like if you go inside of a Walmart, you can probably find this phone all over the place, which is nice. It's a really, really nice thing to have. But I would probably tell you, for the everyday average person out there, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to go ahead and buy this type of phone. There are way better phones you can buy than the A16 for not that much more money. In fact, I think a Galaxy S23 is a really good phone to go and pick up. That phone will be a really, really decent option. I also think a phone like the Samsung Galaxy S24, which is more expensive than the S23, but that would be a really good option as well. So you have a couple of different phones you can choose from, but I'd probably say those would be the first ones I'd kind of recommend buying more so than this particular one, than the A16. But the S25 is like the best you can get your hands on right now. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.